Welcome to channel. The world slows now. The weight of the day lifts, placed by the warmth of imagined lamplight and the crackle of old stone beneath your sandals. We'll meet an emperor who watched his city burn. We'll examine charred secrets from Pompeii's walls. And then we'll leave the slums and enter the palace. Let your breath slow. The bricks are warm. The candles are low. History is waiting, and it smells of smoke. Tonight we return to Rome, not to its marble arches or golden statues, but to the shadows beneath them. Right, to the cramped, creaking, fire-prone buildings where most Romans actually lived. You won't dine with emperors tonight. Instead, you'll climb 5 flights of rotting wood stairs, sleep beside strangers, wake to shouting in 10 different languages, step over rats, and, maybe, just maybe, if the gods are cruel, you'll smell smoke in the dark. In this long walk through the forgotten alleys of the eternal city, we'll begin where the smells are strongest, inside a Roman insula. This is a tenement building in ancient Rome, and this is what life was like if you were unfortunate enough to live here. You'd live 5 stories up. There's no balcony. There's no running water. There's no escape. The only way to get out of your apartment is through the front door. The only way to get out of the building is down a dark, narrow stairwell. Your walls are thin. The occasional sound of footsteps echoes through the stairwell. Those are the bold ones, the drunkards returning home. You come home coated in flour or the stench of animal skins. The other tenement dwellers avoid you on the stairs. You don't blame them. You avoid eye contact with soldiers. Don't look up when the senators pass. You're Roman. But not the kind that carves marble. Your Rome is heat and noise and fear and sweat. If you're lucky, you survive the night. Or the lovers who don't care about exposing themselves to the darkness. I hope you enjoyed this episode of what it would be like if. Make sure to subscribe for more historical tales. When you need to go out at night, you join them, falling into step with total strangers, walking behind an old woman with a basket, shuffling along beside a drunken soldier. You fall in line behind a mother with a baby on her hip, listening to the slap of her sandal on stone. If you're fast, you might make it home before nightfall. If you're slow, the darkness will claim you, and the shadows will keep you forever. They're made of wattle and daub over brittle wood, so you can hear everything that's happening in the apartment next door. Your neighbors cough all night long, hacking up blood and phlegm into a ceramic basin. You share a single room with your family. Maybe you sleep in the corner while your parents and siblings occupy the main room, tending to their work, eating, drinking, defecating. Above you, the man who rents the apartment above you brews garum, a stinking fish sauce used to flavor Roman dishes. He boils his vats all day and night, filling your apartment with the smell of rotting fish. Below you is the apartment of a butcher. He cleaves meat and chops off animal heads. But he never cleans well, so blood and bone fragments rain down onto your ceiling. The floor of your apartment is made of wood, so every step you take, every movement of furniture, every dance, every fight, every childbirth resonates through your bones. You cannot escape the sounds of the city. It's the distant rumble of carts, the screams of vendors, the shouts of drunks, the clash of swords. Even in the relative quiet of the night, there is the rustle of rats in the walls, the buzz of flies in the summer heat, the croaking of frogs in the nearby fountain. And then there is the smell. The smell of stale urine, the smell of garbage piled high in the streets, the smell of the Tiber River, the smell of burning wood, the smell of decay. Your apartment has no bathroom. You share a public bathroom with the other residents of the building. It's an outhouse in a far corner of the block, a squat toilet in a dark, dank room. Sometimes you must fetch water from a public fountain 2 blocks away. Unless, of course, someone is bathing their donkey in it, then you must find another source. You never know what diseases linger in the water, but you have no choice but to drink it. At night, the stairwell's black. There's no light. Lanterns cost money. Oil costs too much. Everyone stays in their apartments. You work at a bakery, or maybe you're a tanner. Hey there, thanks for watching. In the beginning, there was fire. Then there was the night Rome burned. It's all we know for sure. In 64 CE, a fire started in the Circus Maximus, Rome's chariot racing stadium. It spread fast, through the slums, through the shops, through the wooden roofs of insulae, stacked like kindling. Rome burned for 9 days. The people screamed, the sky blackened. Temples cracked, statues melted, The emperor was missing. Then they said they saw him, Nero not helping, but playing his lyre, singing as flames consumed the city. But even if you know the song, you may not know the story. So here it is again, the one with the fire. The year before, the Roman Emperor Nero had married a woman named Poppaea Sabina. She died under mysterious circumstances. She pushed, shoved, stabbed, or thrown down a flight of stairs, we don't know. According to some reports, he was in Antima, a coastal city 100 miles away. Nero seized the land, kicked out the poor, and built a grand palace in its place, the Domus Aurea, the Golden House. It was massive. Some sources say it took 8 years to build. Others say 10. We do know that it covered 30 acres, which would be around 120 American football fields. Inside the sprawling complex, there were fountains, statues, artwork, a library, a gymnasium, an artificial lake. If you enjoyed this episode, please share for more crazy history. And hey, real quick, are you a superfan? If so, drop us a line at the email below. We want to hear from you. And rotating dining rooms that revolved on an axis as guests ate. Others say he was in Greece. Still others say he watched the city burn from the Palatine Hill, his residence. The fire, the charred wood, the ruined homes, and ever present was the lake. It was there to remind everyone of what Nero had taken from them. Here are 3. Number 1. When your house burns down, check your insurance policy. Number 2. Never store gasoline in an apartment building. And number 3. When a dictator needs to blame something on you, just remember one word: you're a Christian. What we do know is that he returned to Rome after the fire was out, surveyed the damage, and declared, well, so Rome is going to burn. He had churches torn down, and he continued to blame them for the fire. For Christians, life in Rome became more difficult after the fire, but it wasn't because of the fire. For Nero, though the fire was a disaster, a catastrophe, a terrible tragedy, terrible enough that he tried to erase any trace of it, how well he succeeded is a mystery for another time. Might as well make the best of it. So he opened up the roads between the insulae, the collapsed apartment buildings, and held chariot races on them. He chained chariots to chariots and pulled taverns and brothels into the streets. Spectators lined the roads and watched. But Nero blamed the Christians, a small, obscure sect who worshipped a crucified man called Jesus. Now, Christians weren't exactly popular in Rome. They were seen as a threat to the order of the empire. And Nero needed someone to blame for the fire, someone he could use to unite the people of Rome against. Now, the truth is, no one really knows what happened that summer. We don't know how it started, but we do know that it lasted for 6 days. It tore through the wooden houses of the poor, but also the temples of the gods. By the time it was done, 10 of Rome's 14 districts were destroyed. But what we do know, when the ashes cooled, Nero seized the land. It's cleared the ruins, a little-known fact. This event is also known as the Great Fire of Rome. Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't know about that? Well, then allow me to introduce myself. I am your host. This is our channel. And together, we are going to explore the craziest, weirdest, most wonderful stories from human history. And built a grand palace in their place, the Domus Aurea, the Golden House. It had fountains, rotating dining rooms, even an artificial lake, all atop what once were homes. So that's one way to start this story. There's actually another one. Now, if you're thinking, wait, I know that song, well, you're not wrong. It was the summer of 64 CE. But let's be honest, the blame doesn't matter. What does matter is that Rome burned. Now, during these 6 days, where was Nero? Then came the building. That's right, the Great Rebuilding. All around the Domus Aurea, though, were reminders of what stood there before. As for the Christians, well, they were still in Nero's crosshairs. For now, though, let's think about the lessons to be learned. When we think of Pompeii, we think tragedy. A city erased from the face of the earth by a catastrophic eruption, but it's also a time capsule, frozen in time. It's preserved beneath ash and pumice in 79 CE, beneath the disaster, a secret story. The walls of Pompeii still whisper. We think of Pompeii as this perfectly preserved ancient city, right? Villas and forums, frescoes and fountains, perfectly preserved. But what about the voices of Pompeii? The scribbled graffiti, the wall art, the personal jokes? What do they tell us about life in Pompeii? In one back alley, an artist mocked a local politician with donkey ears. Around the corner, A bakery advertised its wares, offering bread for sale, but also for a favor, for coin or favors. Inside a bedroom, erotic frescoes, not hidden away, celebrated. We find messages too. Secundus says hello to his friends. Don't trust the innkeeper. I screwed the barmaid. Pompeii was alive, it was messy, it was loud. Streets were full of dogs and children, merchants and lovers. And then silence. The eruption began. People fled in terror. Others covered their faces with cloth, hoping to protect themselves from the falling ash, but it kept raining down. In the end, people died trying to escape. They died in their homes, in the streets, in gardens. They died not in luxury, but in routine. One final, terrible snapshot, a dog chained to a doorstep, curled into a ball. A man in a garden, clutching a child. He died, shielding her with his body. Her tiny hand still grips his finger. They died not knowing it was the end. Their final moments forever preserved. Their normal, our mystery. The year is 80 AD. You are a Roman senator. Another Rome existed. Marble floors, running water, the villas shimmered. Perfumed air, slaves to serve every need, courtyards with fountains, libraries with scrolls. The domus was not a home, it was a performance. The atrium greeted guests with statues of ancestors. The triclinium offered reclining meals where a patron might hold court. Dictating politics between sips of wine and fresh figs, the elite rarely cooked their own food. They bathed daily, and their worries were not fire or food, but fashion and influence. They funded poets, sculptors, senators. Some even owned gladiators, not for the bloodshed, but for sport, for status. You have just returned from the gladiator games with your 2 slaves, a male and a female. Your female slave Amica, too, whispered stories, some of debauchery and secret cults, of poison and intrigue. Many a senator had met their end here, far from the Colosseum's roar. You could almost hear the screams of the oppressed. The murmurs of discontent from the slums just beyond the walls. You had your guards keep watch, though, to hush them, to prepare your bath while your male slave Brutus combs your hair. It's getting late. Time to go home to the Domos. Just a few hills away from here, but these walls, tonight. You dine with your family and friends, ate to a table, reclining on couches made of ivory and purple linen. The food is brought in on golden platters, spiced wine and sweet fruit, figs and grapes and dates. There is music and dancing and conversation. The atrium is filled with the scent of orange blossom and cinnamon. The servants move silently through the crowds, unseen, unheard. Their presence a mere suggestion. For the elite, life was a game of power, pleasure, and peril, while the tenements burned. And now we are here at the end of our tour, or maybe more accurately, the beginning of the end. Because what is an ending but a beginning of something else, something that was always meant to be? You've climbed the creaking stairs of a Roman tenement. We walked among ancient ruins in modern-day life, the Colosseum whispering its glory days from across the street, the Pantheon's oculus staring down at lovers and tourists and pigeons. We sat in the shade of the Campidoglio, watching children play and old men argue over chess games and bocce. On Campo Vaccino, the field of the butcher, where the legendary butcher horse once pulled the bar off its hinges, freeing Rome from the yoke of the Spanish Habsburgs. And then we were on the other side, climbing the Capitoline Hill, the steep, winding streets echoing with the ghosts of the Romans who came before us. We watched the street performers dancing and singing under the hot Roman sun. We listened to the music drifting out from 1,000 open windows, the sound of a city that never sleeps. We strolled along the forum where emperors were made and unmade, where the heart of the empire beat. We talked until the stars came out, the moon rising over the rooftops, the night air filled with the scent of jasmine and orange blossom. You've stood with Nero in firelight, read graffiti from Pompeii's shadows, and you've glimpsed the luxury that floated far above it all. St. Peter's in the distance, the dome of the Basilica di San Lorenzo, the jagged teeth of the Aventine Hill. In the foreground, a sea of red tile rooftops, the warm glow of late afternoon sun setting over it all. For a moment, there was only the view and the silence. A perfect view. So ends our walk through the back alleys of the Eternal City, We began our tour with the rumble of passing traffic, the smell of exhaust and hot garbage, the hiss of 1,000 different languages. We stopped to admire a view, a perfect view, the view from the terrace of the Pincian Hill, looking out over the city, the very heart of Rome. Then we walked on through the twisting, turning streets of the Jewish ghetto, past the facade of a synagogue, the ghetto's only remaining trace of its tragic past. We crossed the Tiber, the river of legend, the river of myth, the river that flows through the very heart of Rome, reflecting the light of 1,000 gods. We stopped for gelato, laughing, talking, sharing stories, making memories. As darkness fell, we found a place to eat, a little trattoria tucked away on a quiet street, where the food was simple and the wine was good and the company was better. And now it's time to say goodbye. Thanks for walking slowly and remembering. May sleep come softly to you as it did not in Rome.